Hello, everyone. Thank you for that great introduction, Felicia. Everybody's ready to go. We have an exciting class today. I just wanted everyone to join today, and I'll be joining on the next class, is that we have a new and exclusive product that we're going to be introducing at Michael's. And today's class is going to be about our basics acrylic color, which is considered our everyday acrylic, but we're going to be introducing a basics fluid line. And Marla has a class that she'll show you the artwork that we have scheduled. It's in the bookings right now for September 27th. So we would love for you to join us then and support this exclusive launch at Michael's. So I'm going to have Marla jump right in to the product description. We have, it's a beautiful landscape, fall version of a landscape, trees, lovely colors, and she's going to be using our 24 count Liquitex acrylic paint. So it will be probably taking the entire class. So let's paint along and recognize that this is also being recorded. So I'm going to introduce Marla and let's have some fun and paint.
Thanks, Jeannie. Appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me and spending some of your time getting to paint with these really cool basics colors. And I think we'll have a good time doing it. I'm going to go ahead and ask Felicia if you'll go ahead and focus on the table and we'll get started. All right, just a couple things to point out quickly. Since the brand of paint we're using is Liquitex, I thought you might want to know that a great way to follow us is at Liquitex Official on Instagram. This is a wonderful way to catch up on everything new with Liquitex. And like Jeannie said, I bet on this site, you're going to see information on basics fluid coming down the way. And then a group that I'm part of is the Fine Art Collective North America at TFACNA is the where you can find it on Instagram. And there's about 12 of us across the country who do demos like IG Lives, at least 2 a week, mini demos 2 a week, all about acrylics, oil, watercolor, drawing, all sorts of cool things. So if you're into all things art materials related, you might want to check that out. And then if you're interested in following my personal art journey, you can check me out at Marla Morrison Art. And I'd love to see what you're up to as well. And then last but not least, when hopefully you're painting along with me, I'd love to see what you make. So please tag me and also tag Make It with Michael's and Michael's classes. And that way others can see your beautiful work as well. So yes, this is the piece that Jeannie was mentioning, kind of our fall reflections, the really vibrant colors, and it's going to, I think we'll have a fun time painting it. This is a 10 by 10 canvas. It's pre-primed. I'll move that over here as my reference. And someone asked, can I use a 9 by 12? You can use whatever canvas you have handy. Just be aware you might have to adjust proportions as you're working. I think I saw someone else asked about heavy body. You can use heavy body color. You're going to have more texture in the leaves, but for kind of duplicating exactly what we're doing, the basics acrylics are going to be the best way to go. But again, you can paint along with what you have. All right, and someone said pre-primed towel. I just bought it from Michael's and it's a canvas that has a layer of gesso on it. So that's what we mean when we say pre-primed. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, if we look at the original, you see the blue background? What we're gonna do is put that in first, and then we're gonna let that dry for a second while we put out our other colors. So I'm gonna move these to the side. I've got my palette paper, and we're gonna use the 1-inch Liquitex Freestyle brush. This is a fantastic brush that I use a lot for this size range. It's synthetic filament, but it's really good at controlling the paint on the surface. So, yep, Jeannie mentioned I'm using the colors out of the 24-piece basics acrylic set. 11 of the colors, which is it's going to be fun having that many colors out, I think. But the first one I start with is titanium white. And I'm putting probably about a little less than a teaspoon of color out. And then we need just a tiniest dab of the phthalo blue, phthalocyanine blue. Okay. So I'll just put a teeny tiny dab there because we don't need a lot of it. And then I'm going to take my palette knife. This is my trusty palette knife. I use this size quite frequently. It's our number 16. Our palette knives are stainless steel, which is really excellent if you accidentally get paint dry on the blade. You can soak it in water and it's going to be able to be scraped off without having rust remaining on the blade. So take your palette knife and just lightly dip it into the paint. You only need a tiny amount on the tip of the knife. And we're just going to mix that in to the white that you've already put on the palette. You see, we're going to get a very soft kind of sky blue. And hopefully, guys, of course, this is your painting. If you want a darker sky, if you want a slightly different blue, those kind of things, that is your artistic choice. But obviously, I'm going to be talking through exactly how I made this particular painting. All right, so just mix it about thoroughly. The basics texture is nice. It's kind of like that, not too thick, not too thin. It's a really good texture for spreading color. It will hold some knife stroke, as you'll see, but it's also great for spreading smoothly. So now I'm going to take this handy 1-inch synthetic brush, this Freestyle 1-inch synthetic. It's like a wide filament brush, and just dip it in the paint. And we're just going to stroke it across the surface from top to bottom. Now, one little tip, less is more, okay? You almost want to think of scrubbing the paint into the canvas, because the reason for that is we want to make sure it's not too wet when we want to come in and paint on top of it, okay? So really, you can see how I didn't wet my brush first, and I dipped it in, and I'm kind of just really scrubbing it into that canvas surface just to make sure I have a very thin coat of the blue. That way it will dry more quickly and we can start painting on top. And it's okay. You see, I don't know if you can tell from the camera, some of it's not quite as loaded with blue. That's okay, in particular at the top, because we're going to be painting over the majority of this blue anyways. But I think it's nice to have it because at points you'll have the leaves of the tree and you'll want to see the blue peeking through. Okay, I'm just kind of quickly scrubbing it on. I'm always like just a little bit shy of the amount of paint, so I'm going to scoop up as much of that blue as I can. It's okay if you need to mix some more. I think I'll do that just in case you're like me and I didn't tell you to put quite enough paint out. So I'll put just like I'll put just the tiny amount of the titanium white. That's a little more than like a pea size amount. And I will dab my knife. Now this time you got to be really careful if you're doing like I'm doing and just mixing a little bit more. I'm going to just take the teeny tiniest amount. Okay, super tiny, just on the very tip of the blade. And in fact, I'll probably dab some of that off because I just want to try and get a similar blue to what I had. Phthalo blue is a very powerful color. It's a wonderful color because if you have a tube, it's going to last you a really long time. But it can be a little daunting if you haven't used it before because it's quite powerful. So just know that if you want to, when you're making this kind of blue sky, you don't need a lot of that phthalo blue to tint the titanium white. Okay, just going to wipe off my knife, and then that'll be enough to kind of help me fill out my sky here. And just in case I didn't get the blue, exactly what I have, what I'm going to do is I'll just kind of run this through the rest of the painting, because it's just, skies don't have all exact, they aren't all exactly the same shade of blue. I mean, there's variation in it, of course. So I'm just going to scrub that in and get that going. Now, when you look at the original, you can see there's some slight variations of deeper blue. If you like that effect, what you can do is take your still quite dry brush. It's dry, even though it has some paint on it. It's not wet with water, and just barely tip it into that phthalo blue. And you can even kind of brush it out on the palette, because again, it's always easier to add more as needed. But then what we can do is just kind of make some very soft feathered strokes on the surface in this kind of back and forth, like not one horizon line, but several lines, just kind of indicating this soft striation of blue. I'm going to just take a little bit more, and I'm going to dry brush tap it out on my palette. And I'm just going to feather in just a little bit more for some variation. And I think I'm going to have it come down here. And by the way, I'm using, in case it wasn't clear, I'm using I'm not using the brush wide side down. I'm using the I'm using it the flat side down, if that makes sense. Kind of hard to describe, but you can see that I'm putting it face down here, and I'm using just the bottom edge of the brush to get these kind of thinner lines. And again, you can tell that I'm just kind of dry brushing it in. And I think I'll do just a tiny smidge more, because when we do the reflection, I want a little bit of it down here as well. Okay, so hopefully everyone is with me, feeling good on this. And we will kind of leave that there. So we've got a little bit of variation, okay? And we can put this down, and let's, well, I have my water container up here, so I'm just going to wash off that paint, because I don't think we're going to use this brush again. Don't plan to anyways. So I'm just going to clean it off in my water, and I will squeeze out the extra water and set it aside. And then now what we're going to get to do is squeeze out some of these fun leaf colors. So you can see I've got a large range. Hopefully I'll move them down here so you can see. We've got 3 yellows, an orange, a red. We're going to use some burnt sienna, even a little bit of dioxazine purple in the mix, just to get some nice variation on the tree. And we're not going to add any medium. The basics texture is going to hold that body for us as we go. So what you can do just to kind of make things easy, I've taken the primary yellow, and as you can see in the original, the way I chose to do it is we've got kind of a range of yellows to brown underneath. I'm thinking the underneath colors. I knew I did yellow to kind of a violet brown to burnt sienna. Okay. And then we're going to put after that's blocked in, we're going to put the leaves on top. So in order to do this, I'm going to just take the primary yellow, and I'm just going to put some dots directly on the canvas. Okay. And you don't have to do the number of dots I did, just you want a few dots. And by the way, too, I'm just kind of remembering that I want to keep my leaves a little above halfway. Okay. If it helps you to make a little line, you can. I'm just going to kind of keep it in my memory banks that I want to be about 1/3 down, or just a little above the halfway mark of the canvas. That's where the base of the leaves are going to land. Okay. Then, you know what, I'll put more paint out first. So you can see I went ahead and put the paint down very quickly, because if you gently touch that surface, it's already should be touch dry. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's mix up this kind of brownish violet I have underneath next to the yellow. So take your burnt sienna and go ahead and squeeze kind of a large pea size amount out. All right, and then we're going to take the dioxazine purple. And just, you need barely a pea size amount, just a very little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix these two. And you know what? I'm actually going to add a little more. I don't want to make the same mistake there. So let's add a little more burnt sienna. So now we've got 2 pea size amounts of the burnt sienna. Okay. And we'll take our palette knife again, and I'll dab it in that violet. Now I've got, I don't know if you can see how much, it's kind of like a small dab, not as thick as a pea size, but just a small amount of the purple. I'm going to mix it directly into that burnt sienna. And what this will do, that burnt sienna is a very warm color. You can talk about color temperature, right? And then dioxazine purple is a cooler color. And so when you mix them together, that kind of makes the color mix a little, it brings down the warmth of the burnt sienna when we add just a little bit of that cool purple. And not that I have any problem with warmth, but if I want the under part of the tree to recede in the visual space, I want to knock it back a little bit and make it a little bit cooler. Okay. So in those 2 large pea size amounts of burnt sienna, I've added pretty much that entire pea size amount of dioxazine purple. And you can see how that's really created a nice kind of, I don't know, velvety brown just popped into my head, but just a nice deep brown. It's still warm, but not as warm as the burnt sienna. So in this case, since it's a mixed color, I'm just going to scoop it up onto my palette knife. Not all of the color, but just a bit of it. And we'll just go ahead and place that in this section here. Okay. And you can place a little bit more as you like here, okay? And then I'm going to put that right about there. And you know what, I guess I'll spend a little time so I don't waste my paint. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of spread this out a bit. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because you may want some of the blue showing through, but that just kind of gives a bit of a warm, deep brown base to that section of the tree line that we're doing. And then next, we're going to go straight to the burnt sienna. And so this is one where you can just dab directly onto the canvas as you'd like. Okay, so I'm just going to dab that directly on. And then we'll use the palette knife again to kind of just place it, or how should I say, knife it into the canvas. Now you can see I'm purposely not trying to just scrape and coat the entire background, because again, I want to leave some of those happy accidents of the blue showing through. And I'll probably still cover some of it up, but as you're going, it's good to kind of think of that and remember, okay, yeah, I kind of want some of that sky showing through, if that's your vision anyways. All right, and then we'll make these two colors kind of blend together. Okay, and you can even drag some of that burnt sienna on top of this if you want, and likewise you could take some of this brown over here if you needed to. It's very freeing. You can move the color as you need, just what looks good to you. Okay, and then I am going to clean my knife just because this is such a dark value color. I want to clean it off a bit before I go back to the yellow. So I'm back to my primary yellow now, and I'm just going to kind of palette knife it on the surface again. And I'm definitely not going to care that I'm blending it with the brown. In fact, I kind of want that effect, because really all this is a chance to kind of block in where I plan to put my leaves. Okay. Again, I've got some of my blue, I've got some of that brown on top of the yellow. All right, so very quickly we blocked in the top of our trees. The next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to complete the tree top before we do the bottom. Okay, so we're still kind of in the tree canopy here. So what we want to do is we want to squeeze out the rest of our colors that we plan on using. So I'm going to put more of my primary yellow. And this you can organize however it makes sense to you. I tend to put colors light value to dark. And in this case, don't be afraid to use plenty of color, because this is the fun part to me. This is where you get to kind of layer and play and dab and drop that paint on the surface. So you want to have plenty to play with. Okay, so that's definitely like a teaspoon of the primary yellow. Because we have so many colors, I'm going to go ahead and go off to the side here with more, I'll keep the yellow in a line. So this is the Cad Yellow Medium Hue. And that's what's so great about the 24 color set is you've got these, you've got several yellows, reds, secondary colors and so on. So you can make some choices, but you're not overwhelmed with a giant 100 color set, right? And then now I'm going to the Cadmium Yellow Deep Hue. And so hopefully you can even see right there on your screen that you've got three nice yellows that are going to be a very nice gradation or transition on the surface. I want to pick up my orange, my Cadmium Orange Hue. So I'll go ahead and put it down here. And then we'll put the Naphthol Crimson down. Squeeze that out. And this is the fun part, so don't hesitate. I mean, it's all fun, let's be real, but this is the exciting part where you get to use a lot of paint, so don't hesitate to put more paint down. We actually have a little bit of the green, so I'm going to put some of the green right here. I probably don't need as much of that, so I'll put just a little less than that teaspoon size. And then what else? Those are the main ones that I'll put some more burnt sienna out, because I'll probably want to kind of mix that in as well. Okay, so those are the main colors for the tree canopy. Are any of you living where the the colors are starting to change now, because if you are, I'm totally envious, but happy for you, but also envious, because in Texas, we don't get this beautiful color transition that so many other states do. But all right, so we're going to go to this primary yellow section, and I want to start to warm it up. This was the cooler yellow to kind of, again, kind of have it recede to the back. Now we're going to add some warmer yellows on top. So we'll still use a little primary yellow, but we're going to focus more on the Cad Yellow Medium and the Cad Yellow Deep. Okay, so I'm just going to, yeah.
Pardon me, I'm just wondering, someone was just asking if they didn't have a palette knife. Now, I'm not sure if they meant the particular size or shape, because you can use lots of different shapes. What other things could they use? I mean, we used other things in the past as well.
Yeah. So like, even like, yeah, if you have like a plastic spoon, you could probably use the tip of the spoon. If you have a popsicle stick, if you have a fairly wide brush handle at the back, you could use that. Obviously your leaf shape will be a little different, but if you had Q-tips handy, that would be something you could use. Pretty much anything that can hold paint and then that you can dab, you will get some sort of leaf effect for sure. But yeah, definitely if you just have a different type of palette knife, you can certainly do that. The reason I'm using this one is this palette knives do matter if you are trying to replicate a certain shape. So this particular rounded knife will make this more rounded leaf shape. But yeah, if you've got something different, you can use it and your leaves will just have their own kind of beautiful shape.
Thanks.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for the questions. So the Cad Yellow Medium, I've just scooped up a generous amount, and I'm going to start to pounce it onto my tree canopy here. And as I do it, here, oh, the yellow is kind of a harder color to see. So I move my hand out of the light. Okay. So as I do it, I'm just literally, I definitely think of it as pouncing, because I'm taking a decent size amount, I'm dabbing it, and then I'm quickly lifting. And so it's like kind of a fun interaction. I don't want to sound too corny, but it's like a fun dance you do with the paint, right? You're kind of going in back and forth with the paint and just layering it in a way that looks good to you. We've all seen, even if we don't live near it, we've all seen these beautiful leaves blowing in the wind. And I think this kind of action with the palette knife kind of suggests the way leaves can blow in the wind and create such beautiful effects. So, and you'll notice I'm right-handed. Well, try to get my hand there. So I'm right-handed. So when you look at my paintings, it's like I tend to, make marks in this direction. So it's kind of like your signature, right? If you don't want to have that kind of look, you can, switch the knife around and do the leaves in different directions. But, that's entirely up to you. I tend to just make it easy and go with what I have, go with my right-handedness and just play. So we've got the Cad Yellow Medium down, and now let's add I'll go back to, I'll show you on my palette here. Oop, I just put my finger in the burnt sienna. I'm going to take some of the Cad Yellow Deep and pick that up, wipe off my thumb so I don't get burnt sienna everywhere. And then we're going to add some of that Cad Yellow Deep to this area as well. And it's great, guys. Feel free to add as much paint, ladies and gentlemen, I should say. Sorry about that. I've got kind of a bad habit. I don't know. It's not like I grew up anywhere that says it. That's just kind of my thing. So I'm sorry about that. But
worries. Everyone.
It's just words, right? Everyone. So as you're working, feel free to, just mix those colors together and let them interact in whatever way you feel is pleasing. Okay. So I just keep kind of layering and going. Now we're going to stop there, even though I could keep playing, because what I would like to do, oops, and there we go. What I would like to do is go across the tree canopy, and then we'll come back and play a bit more. I'll raise up just a little bit now and just kind of focus on the canopy here. Okay.
Marla, I'm going to interrupt for just a second, because I think I see where you're going, because I worked with you on this. Can you pull up the original art? Because sometimes we get perspective, because we're focusing on the yellow, but then you can see how it integrates into the other, into the canopies. Yes, it's become gradient, and there's going to be a lot more layering.
Yes, sorry, I keep going off there. There we go.
Great.
So a lot more layering with it. And we're going to actually move into a little bit of green on that purpley violet or that browny violet there. And we're just going to keep transitioning. And that's what's really fun about it, is you don't have to get stressed or concerned about the colors mixing. To me, that just really adds a lot of visual interest to it.
Right.
It looks fairly separated right now, but we're going to keep playing. So in fact, to that point, let's go ahead and pick up some of the green from your palette. It's the Hooker's Green Hue Permanent. Let me just show you where it was on the palette. Okay, just go ahead and pick some of that up. And then we're going to place it right about in this area. And it looks pretty vibrant here, right? It's a little bit shocking compared to what I have here. And that's going to be where we're going to layer, and it's going to kind of push it back a little bit. Now, if you prefer to have a lot of that green showing to show that it's transitioning from summer to fall, you can certainly add more green, but I just wanted a little hint of it. So that's what we're going to do there. So I think that's enough for me for the green. And then now we're going to actually go back to, I'm going to squeeze out a little bit more of my cadmium yellow deep. I want to just have plenty. So I squeezed out about another, more like a slight teaspoon of the Cad Yellow Deep. And I'm going to pick some up on my palette knife, okay, and just pounce it on top of that green. And do be aware that when you move it back to your palette, some of the green will get into your yellow. If that bothers you, what you can do is just not put your palette, right in the middle of your yellow. Just put it to the side and scrape up. That way you're keeping some of the yellow pure without a bunch of green in it. Okay, if that makes sense. And then just going to add some more up here and add a few more kind of leaf marks here. And then I want to transition to some of the, we're going to transition to a little bit of the orange here. And again, we're going to keep going back to this, but we're going to block things in and then refine, block it in and then refine. Okay. So I'm going to come to the cadmium orange hue and going to be a little more selective where I place the orange, because I'm just beginning my transition to the orange. And so I'm just being a little more careful as to where I put it. And something else too, you'll notice as you're working, if you press firmer on the surface, it's going to give you like what you call a sgraffito mark or a scratch. If you don't want to have that mark deep in the middle of your leaf, just press more lightly, and you see how that doesn't give the sgraffito mark. I think the marks are nice to have, and then also to, I don't want all of them to have marks. I just want some of them to. So if you don't, so just add a little more texture and don't press as firmly if you don't want those sgraffito marks. So you can see too, I'm taking this orange and I'm moving some of it over to my yellow. And I'm going to keep adding some here and just a little bit here. And of course, as you know, I am not going to exactly reproduce every single leaf, because it's more of a fluid process than that. But we're going to be getting the general color bodies of the leaves, if that makes sense. So the yellows to the green and yellow and so on. Okay, so that's kind of how we're working right now. And let's see. What we want to do next is, I think what we'll do, we've got that warmer violet brown, or it's slightly cooler than the sienna, but it's kind of in the background here. Now we're going to add more orange on top of that. So I do need to squeeze out some more of my cadmium orange hue, about another teaspoon. And I do this, I know some of you might prefer it if I were to have an exact ratio to squeeze all of the color out. You never have to go back to the tube. I'm usually kind of wary of doing that with acrylics, because if you squeeze out too much and you're painting, you don't want some of it to dry out before you're ready. But also it's a way to be a little bit conservative and not, use too much color that maybe you didn't need. So, I try to get close, but it's, sometimes you just have to add more color to the palette. All right, so we're going to move on the orange on top of the sienna mixture we made. And we'll just keep, when you look at the original, you can see that there the orange is quite a big part of this part of the canvas. So I'm going to keep moving the orange across. And it may or may not pick up some of the brown underneath. I think that's perfectly fine. I kind of want that to happen actually. So I'll just keep moving the orange. And I hope you guys I hope you all are as relaxed as I am as this is going on, because it's a very kind of meditative process as you're into it. Okay, so now let me add some of the red. So I've got the Naphthol Crimson from my palette, and you notice I didn't even clean my knife because I'm not worried about that. I'm going to let it mix on the surface. Okay, so now when I look at the original, I notice that some of the red is more vibrant here, and I want to start here and then move across with the red. So here we go. Just dabbing that in. And some sgraffito, some thicker. Oh, I think I want to add a little one there.
Marla, I just want to let you know we're past the halfway mark. It's 2:34.
Okay.
So I just wanted to pace yourself.
Yeah,
But it's coming together nicely. I'm always, you're just what you just said. I was getting into a trance because it's very relaxed. So I hope everyone is not stressed and using this time to kind of decompress a little bit, because that's just the joy and the satisfaction in painting. But this looks lovely. It really is getting me into the full spirit.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, I would totally agree. Yeah, hopefully that's what painting can do for us is, whatever type of painting, it can be a relaxed kind of process. So yeah, definitely.
And with Michael's as well, like Marla shared many of the different hashtags through Liquitex and through Marla directly. Reach out to Marla. Obviously, I encourage you to do that, but back out to the Liquitex team as well. And then Michael's, of course, because they have a gallery that they put in their email that goes to millions of people. So you never know. You just you might look out and find your art on the gallery. So it's kind of cool. So we're fortunate that Michael's is providing this service for everyone, and I'm hoping that everyone will enjoy it. And stay tuned. Like I said, Marla at the end of the class will give you an update of some of the things that we're doing later in the month.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that, Jeannie. Yeah, I definitely love connecting with everyone and seeing what you're doing. So while we were talking there, I added some more of the Cadmium Orange Hue and a little bit more of the Cadmium Yellow Medium. And I just want to play with those two a little bit more. And two, when you look at the original here, I want to be sure I add some of these leaves that are a little more defined with a little bit more of the blue showing through. So I'm going to do that now. So I've got my orange with the red still on my palette knife. So I'm going to add a few of those kind of more exposed leaves on the bottom here. And all I'm going to do now is I'm not even going to wipe my palette knife. Well, you know what? I think I will. Never mind. Scratch that. I'll wipe my palette knife and I'll pick up some of that Cadmium Yellow Medium, and we'll do a few of those exposed leaves down here. I think that helps kind of differentiate these from being a large kind of mass into your brain sees it and like, oh yes, these are leaves on the tree, right? Okay. So Jeannie gave me the halfway mark, so I want to make sure I keep going forward. I've added a little bit of orange to my knife, so I'm going to drag a little bit of the orange on top of the yellow now, since I hadn't done that before very much. And then I also want to add a little bit more of the burnt sienna to my yellow. So I'm going to now, again, I'm not cleaning my knife in between at this point. I'm just directly dabbing into or scooping into the burnt sienna. And I'm just going to make small little marks, because what we're going to do then is I'm going to come up back on top with a little bit of yellow. I just want to darken this just a little bit. But it's very much like a conversation, a back and forth, like, oh, I need a little more sienna, put it in. Oh, now I want to kind of put that, have that sienna go to the background. Okay, we can do that. Just wipe your knife and then go back to the Cad Yellow Medium and integrate that burnt sienna a bit. So it's very, very fluid, goes back and forth easily.
And you gave it so much more depth by doing that, you know,
By adding
the
the
shadows or however you want to explain that. But because, yeah, now it just looks much more relatable to the original artwork. Because you're right, before it was starting to blend, but it's an evolving process. It's coming together nicely. I can't wait to see everyone else's creations.
Definitely.
And
Everyone will have their own trees for sure. Couldn't make it exact if you wanted to. That's the beauty of it. I can't even make it exact to what I painted before. So I love that part about painting. All right, I'm going to go back and do a little bit of orange. What I want to do here, the reason I'm doing this, I'd like to add a little bit more variety of shape, leaf shape with the orange. I feel like these got a little too polka dotty, so I'm just going to add some smaller kind of shapes of orange, and I may smear it with the red. And now I am kind of tilting my palette knife a bit, but I'm kind of I am breaking apart those larger blobs into smaller visual groupings, if that makes sense. And I'm just letting my knife kind of, I'm looking with my eyes and just following with my knife, like, where do I need to break up this shape a little bit? I still have my blue showing through, which I like, but I'm just breaking that down a bit. So that broke down the orange a bit. So now what I want to do is add in some of the yellow, just because I really love how these are distinct trees, but because they're together in a grove, they interact and they're all changing colors in their own pace. So a way to reflect that is to show how the color transition, even though this is mainly yellow, some of the yellow is going to be over here. So I'm just going to wipe off my brush. I'm not even going to clean it super thoroughly. And I'm going to stick with my, I'm going to take my Cad Yellow Medium and just do a few dabs. And you can see, because my Cad Yellow Medium has a little bit of burnt sienna, it's a softer yellow, which is fine. And I'm just going to do a few marks directly onto that wet paint. So guys, or so everyone, this is called wet into wet painting. And so you're just taking wet color and putting on top of wet into wet. And that's lovely about that is it just blends and mixes on the surface. And now that I've got this knife a little bit mixed with color, I'm going to take some orange and just on that dirty knife, and I'll pick up the orange and kind of come over here just a bit and just transition through. And now look, I'm even jumping back here because this is the part where we're finessing it just a bit. All right, move over here a little. All right, in the interest of time, I need to stop, even though I could keep fussing with that because it's fun, but I'll go ahead and wipe my knife. We're going to come in at the end and add a few little white dots to help encourage that look of reflected light through, but we'll do that at the very end. So now we're going to focus on the reflection at the bottom. Okay, so I was wrong when I said earlier we probably won't use that large brush. We are going to use the large brush for the bottom. So hopefully you didn't throw it across the room. Hopefully you just put it on your desk or something like I did, but it's nice and clean now. And what we'll want to do first is just maybe dab it with the paper towel, and then we're going to dip it in some of these colors and dry brush it to the top, or towards the top, I should say.
So Marla, question. So that you're reflecting, obviously, so you're going to go, it's going to be more gradient. So yellow to the left, and then you're going to go deeper colors to the.
Exactly. Yeah. It's going to mirror this, what we have at the top. So yellow to yellow kind of, we're not going to do a lot of the violet brown. It's going to be more burnt sienna, orange to reddish orange. Yep, exactly. So we're going to go back to the primary yellow that we have a large amount of here. And this is, I've kind of taken my, I have taken my wet brush. I'm just squeezing some of the water out so my brush is damp. Because if it's too wet, it'll be too juicy and you can't get that nice brush effect. So we want it just damp, dry, I guess I should say. And I'll dip it in my primary yellow. And then I'm actually going to pick it up and dip it in this Cad Yellow Medium. I have a large amount of paint here. This is too much for the reflection, but I wanted to kind of mix those two colors together. So what I will do now is I'm just going to scrape some of that back on my palette. I want a very thin layer on my brush. Now I'll come down to the bottom left of the canvas, and I'll just start at the bottom, and I'll bear down firmly at first and then lift up as I go towards the center. Bear down and lift up. I'll do one more stroke here. And then what I want to do, this is a little too vibrant for me, so I want to come back to my Cad Yellow Medium that has the sienna in it. If yours doesn't have that look, you can certainly add a little bit of sienna to your Cad Yellow Medium just to get it a little bit more of a kind of a golden yellow color. And then I'm going to go on top of my primary yellow very lightly. So I'm getting kind of a double color here. Let me get a little closer to show you. That's how you're getting a double kind of color to the reflection. My phone stand makes a creaky noise. But now you lift up at the end to get that dry brushy effect. And you're going up probably, oh, I don't know, anywhere from, what would you say that is, like a 1/6 of the way up to maybe an 1/8 of the way up. You don't need to go up very far. Move that back into view here. And now you'll take your brush. I'm not going to clean mine. You don't have to clean yours either. Take it and actually dip it very slightly into the burnt sienna. Top and bottom, or flip. I like to flip the brush. I'm going to brush it out on my palette to see what color I have, and also to thin the amount of color on my brush. Now I'll pick that up and I'm going to overlap this yellow here. And again, I'm bearing down firmly and then I'm feathering upwards. Bearing down firmly, feathering upwards. And you just keep going over that, because imagine what you're doing here is you're creating that look of the tree's reflection into the water. Mm-hmm. So you want to replicate those beautiful colors and that fuzzy nature of what it would look like in the water. So now I'll take my brush. I'm still not washing it. I'm going to dip it in a little bit of the orange that I have existing on my palette. Both sides. And again, I'll paint it. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to paint it on my palette, kind of on top of where I tested the other color. So it naturally mixes together. And I'll come back and do a little bit more. Bear down firmly and go up quickly. And you can see too, I'm varying the, I am varying where the brush lifts. I'm not doing a perfectly straight line. I'm just trying to get a natural edge to the foliage in the water.
Another question that was posed, Marla, was someone asked about what you do on the sides of the canvas. So we've spoken about this before. So why don't you give us some suggestions?
Yeah, the side of the canvas can be, your playground. You can decide to certainly leave it white and paint over any blips that you might have. You could continue the blue. You could continue the leaves. You could just kind of imagine that the painting is spilling over and add the leaves to the side and top. If you're going to frame it, obviously I wouldn't bother doing that. But if it's going to be hung directly like this, I like the idea of kind of just letting the painting spill over. If you don't want to mess with that, I think my next best suggestion would be to maybe match the blue and paint the blue around. But that's very much up to you and your decor, or where you think it might be hanging, what would look best. But yeah, even here at the top, if you don't, I didn't go all the way to the edge. That's something that probably with more time, I would plan on filling out around the edge. So yeah, it's really, I hope those suggestions give you some ideas at least, but there's no real, unless you're entering it in a show, there's no real rule on what you should have to do on the edges. And Jeannie, I don't know if there's any other.
No, sounds good. No, that covered it. Because we've done both ways, where we've gone, intentionally, and a lot of times, it's just a preference. I just love that blue color. It's just so
soothing, right?
It is. And now you're doing this brushing. As you said, you're putting a really thin coat to give you that
very
wispy,
thin.
like that illusion of movement on the wood. So you don't want a really straight line, and you can see it's all different.
Yes, and I changed to burnt sienna, and I'm brushing a very, very thin layer onto my brush. So this is what you call dry brush, because you're just really kind of scraping the paint onto the surface. Now, the other thing you can do too, if you don't want a squared edge to the reflection, go ahead and push your brush on the side and do the same thing where you bear down and feather up. And that way you're going to get a little more variation in that edge. You see what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
So kind of like on the original, get a little more of that variation.
Right.
I'll do it a little bit here. I don't like how square that is. So, and you can see I'm dragging some of that deeper burnt sienna here, and I'm fine with that. I want it to give a little variation. Now to the yellow, I think what I will do is I'll do one more thing here. I'm going to dab off my brush, and I've cleaned off most of the burnt sienna. I'm going to dip it into my Cad Yellow Deep, just a tiny amount, brush it out, and I'm going to add a little bit on top of that yellow because I don't want to deepen it too much. So I'm taking a look at time. I don't want to get too lost in this part now. So hopefully you've got that kind of feathered in a good place for you. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to put the water line in. We're going to use Mars Black to do that. And then we're going to do the trees. And then we'll finish out with the reflection, or the trees in the distance. And of course, we'll be doing the black at the same time, and the reflection, the gray trees in the distance at the same time in the water. And then the last step, we'll be adding the white. So grab your Mars Black and squeeze out. I'm going to flip my palette so you can see where I have it on here. Oh, I have a generous amount, again, probably a half, or maybe close to a teaspoon, maybe a little less. And I'm going to take my size 2 brush, got a little paint on it, so I'm going to clean that off. Oh, and it dried on there. Clean that off quickly. All right. So this is also a synthetic filament brush, a Liquitex round. These are great for adding a little bit of detail, marks like the trees. So I've got that clean and ready, but actually pop back to the brush, the 1-inch flat brush that we just used for the reflections in the water. After you clean it, go ahead and rinse it or squeeze out the water. Get it damp dry again. And it doesn't have to be perfectly clean because we are going to be dipping it into black, and the black will forgive the extra color that might be in the brush. But we're going to use a very, very thin amount of the black. So I'm just going to barely touch into the black with my damp dry brush it back out on the palette. And now I'm visualizing about a little less than a third up onto the canvas, and that's about where I want my water line to be. So I'm just going to very carefully feather in like a dry brush mark of this water line. And then actually in the center, I'm going to drag the water line down just a bit. But it's a very quick process. You don't need a lot of paint. You're just kind of feathering it in, just giving the idea of where the water line is. So now I can dry that off, and now I can clean it and put that aside. That's all we needed to kind of suggest the water line. Now we're going to go to our size 2 round and dip it in the black. And when you look at the original, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trees. I want to have my main tree in the center. Of course, you can place your trees however you'd prefer, but I'm going to have my main one in the center. So I'm going to eyeball where that is, probably right about here. And I'll just start to draw or paint my trunk downwards. And this is where you're just kind of relying on your imagination of a tree, some variation of the trunks. I'm going to have the top of my tree trunk hit the tree line. And when I come down to the base here, I'm going to slightly turn the brush outward. So I get a slightly curved base. And then as I'm painting, I just keep going back to the black, and I wipe the black in a way where I get a nice point on my brush. And in fact, I kind of flatten the edge of the brush just a little to give me a little tighter control. So I don't know if you can see how It's hard to get it, but it's slightly flattened. That's the fatter side, and then this is the flattened side by painting it on the palette paper. And that's where I'm going to get this branch. I start at the top and just paint it downward. I'll have another on this side. Okay, and I'm going to integrate that more in a bit, but that's kind of how we're going to proceed with our trees. So I'm going to continue with one here. I'm going to put one right about here. And again, you might want to have more tree trunks than me. You might want to have less. That is certainly your call, your vision. I'll go ahead and drag my branch here and another branch here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm working fairly quickly because that gives kind of a looseness to it. And then I'm going to do another trunk here and have it go to the bottom of the canopy, my tree canopy. I'm going to follow over that leaf just to suggest that it goes farther up. And this one I put 4 branches. I like a little more branch work there, so I'll do that. And do another one here. Loose, quick, not worried about perfection. And we'll do another thin one on the side, just a thin one. Just one saying, hey, I'm here too. Little one here. And then we're going to do another branch to the canopy. Another tiny one there. Okay, and we've got a few on this side, so I'll put one here. And as I'm working, sorry about that brush in the phone there, brush handle in the phone. But as we're working, I'm just kind of visually spacing these out. Again, I'm not using a ruler or anything. It's just kind of my visual thought of how I want them spaced. And then I'm coming back in, occasionally flattening my brush into the black paint and showing my branches going to the canopy. We'll do one more. I'm going to tuck it a little closer to the side just because I didn't want them perfectly even. Tuck it a little closer to the side here. I'm doing about 2 strokes downward per tree trunk. And we'll do another kind of branch coming off here. I think kind of calligraphic marks when I'm working with trees. Just a round brush is really perfect for that. Just kind of gently drawing in a loose branch shape. And then last but not least, we've got this little beauty on the side here. And just my nice little tree trunk. It's probably a little bit thinner. I wanted this one to be the main one, so it's a little bit thicker than the rest. And then we're going to just feather this last branch in. All right, now we're going to do the reflection in the water. Since we already have black on our brush, I'll start with the middle again. And this is nice. You don't have to worry too much about, getting it quite as lined up because we're just going straight down through into this is the reflection. So it's like you're showing that elongated tree in the water. So it doesn't have to be painted as thickly if you don't want to. It could be a little bit more dry brush. Or you could paint it just as thick. That's kind of your call. But you'll notice with the branches, they're longer and going, they're not branching outward. They're just going straight towards the bottom to give that elongated reflection look. Okay, so we'll follow through here. Same idea, just even quicker than we did the trees because it's just that kind of loose representation of that tree trunk in the water. Don't even have to make sure you have the exact number of branches. It's just very, reflections suggest what they're reflecting, but they don't look exactly like what they're reflecting, right? So this one had a few more branches, so I'll just suggest that a little bit there. It's almost like kind of like crow's feet going to the bottom, just elongated like that. And then on this side, we've got our nice little straight branch. You can see I'm choked up on the brush quite a bit for control. Just my hands are right at the edge of the brush. That's allowing me to work a little more quickly and to get those lines in. Then we'll jump over here to this side and paint downwards. And you could have done your trees in a row like this. I tend to start in the middle and work one side out if I want something centered. That's just comes from like lettering on boards, just a habit from that. But you could do it more in a line if you wanted to. And same thing, come up here. You can see I'm not making this a full line. I'm leaving a little bit of a gap between the trunks, between the reflection and the tree itself, just to kind of suggest that there's that water line there. Okay, and we got this last one here. And it's a little wibbly, and that's okay because it's that reflection. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now, what I think would be nice to do is if we just clean off your brush a bit, and then we're going to take our titanium white and squeeze some out. About a half, that's probably a little bit more than you need, but we're gonna mix a gray, so I wanna have plenty of white. Take your palette knife, dab it into the Mars black, get a small amount on your palette knife and mix it into that titanium white. So we're talking about 1 part black to probably 10 to 12 parts white. If that helps with proportions.
Marla, we're getting close to the 3 o'clock hour, so I just
Okay.
want to know that we're going to go over a bit. The class is being recorded. It'll be available in 24 to 48 hours if you go to where the Michael's classes are. Felicia was put that in the chat already, but it's on the Michael's website. You go to classes and events, and then that'll lead you to the YouTube channel. We're just going to continue to go through it because you're really on a roll, and the trees definitely brought in a lot of dimensions. So we have a couple more things to do.
And then we'll have it. Yep, sounds great.
Looking fantastic.
Good. All right. So I think here with the trees in the distance, I am going to go left to right now that I've got this blocked in. So now we've got our gray mixed up, and you're just going to take that same 2-inch round. I'm sorry, I keep saying 2-inch round, but size 2 round brush, and dip it in the gray. And this, again, it's your choice on the placement of these trees in the background. And these are even probably going to be a little bit looser than the trees in the foreground in the black, because you're just wanting to suggest these trees in the background, just this beautiful tree grove with some in the foreground, some in the background. So I'll do a little bit, hitting my phone there, I'll do a little bit of branches on that one. And just a reminder, show you what we're doing again. We're adding these trees in the background. And so we'll do another little thin one there. And this is what really helps break up the grove and give it a little, takes away some of the symmetry of it. So you can have your black trees be a little more symmetrical, and then you add the trees in the distance and kind of breaks it up a bit. I don't know if you saw there, I got a little bit of black in my gray, not a problem with acrylics. I just dipped it into a little more of acrylic paint and painted right over it, and it was fine. Okay, so now we'll do a little bit of a thicker one here. This is where the real looseness comes in, because you don't have to get too fussy with it. And we'll do another one here. And a branch here. I'm not even connecting these quite in the same way that I did the black, because again, you just want to hint at this grove of trees. I'm excited to see yours because I'm betting some of you will add a lot, some of you will add a few. It's really fun seeing how people interpret a project. Okay, now we're going to go down into the reflection and just match 1 for 1 for the most part. And this is a case where it's even looser because we're just taking and just kind of doing a stripe downwards with the gray. And it's funny how our brain, of course, can see this stripe. We just read it as, well, that's the reflection in the water. And so we get to take advantage of that as artists. And in fact, you can put another line in there too, because it's, you know, it doesn't have to be totally perfect exact. We're going to add some leaves on top of these, so I'm not too worried about where I start the trunk in this little area here, because we're going to add some evidence of fallen leaves there. We're just quickly painting these in. Just almost like little thin figures in the reflection. Okay, so that really helps add the depth also. We were talking about depth before. So now what we get to do is we're going to use some of the color that's still on our palette. I'll turn it around so you can see. Hopefully you still have some. If not, you can squeeze some out as needed. Some of your cadmium yellow deep would be a nice choice. And actually I do need to squeeze out a little bit more of my titanium white. So I will put it, where can you see it? I'll put it up here. This blue is dry, so I'll just put it right up there. Just want to make sure you can see it. You guys can be, or you all can be more organized on your palette than I'm going to be. I'm putting color into dry areas, but anyways, I just want to make sure you can see it on the screen. So now I'm going to take some of the Cad Yellow Deep, place it up here, and I'll mix it with some of the white. So that was about a 1-to-1 mix of Cad Yellow Deep with the white. And now I'll just take this on my palette knife. I didn't even mix it that well, and that's okay because it doesn't have to be super mixed. But now we're going to use the edge of our palette knife to suggest where this kind of section of leaves and the water. And all I'm doing is I'm lining up one edge of the palette knife to the baseline of the trees up here. And what that's doing is it's giving that illusion of the bank or the water line. And then I'll wipe that knife off and use my paper towel to clean it off. And then I will do the same thing, but now I'm just taking pure titanium white and I will put that directly on top. And what I'm doing now is instead of doing a crispy edge, I'm just kind of delicately placing it on top of the yellow. So our eye just kind of blends that and sees it as a visual break of these leaves without having to be perfect. Yeah, Jeannie.
Yeah, the question was just presented. It's like, should there be a gap there? And I knew where you were going. So perfect time. Yeah, to create that illusion.
Definitely. Yeah.
It all comes together, right? When I always think, oh, it's done. No, it's not.
There's always a few little steps, right?
There's always a few more little additional touches, but it's lovely. It's just been a relaxing class. I hope everyone enjoyed it. We just got some people really happy to be here. Thank you for that. As I said, Marla's going to continue and put those little ripples in the water, as you see. It's a very forgiving type of artwork, and I think I encourage you all to try it and really come back for some more of our classes. We do have another one on September 27th with Marla, and I'll be joining Marla then as well to go over a new introduction, our basics fluid. And we're going to do an abstract, a mid-century modern palette. So of a mountainscape. So completely different type of method because it's a different kind of fluid paint. So we'll show you that before we leave. And hopefully you'll join us. And these reflections now explain to us what you're doing here.
Right. It just pops it all, doesn't it? And so, yeah, this is just the edge of the knife into the white. I'm using just the thinnest edge, and then I'm dragging it down slightly to give a little bit of dimension to it so it doesn't look like perfect lines. And it's something that takes a little practice. You can practice on your palette paper if you want, but really it's not anything to be stressed about. It's just a little line. Okay, so we've got that in. Now what we want to do is need another paper towel, and we want to add just a few leaves. Oh, you know what? If you haven't wiped your knife, good. Let's keep a little bit of the white. What we'll go ahead and do is add a little bit of the reflection, since we've got white already here, and we're already doing that kind of linear stroke. So all I'm talking about here is the same stroke that you did for the reflection, but now we're going to do it on the tree trunk. And just all that's doing is giving just the lightest suggestion of a little bit of a dimension on the trunk, whether it's bright light, but all I know is that little bit of light white kind of makes it, gives it more volume, I guess I should say.
Like the sun. Yep.
Yeah, with the sun and reflecting the water, who knows how to fully put words to it, but I think it just reads better as something with dimension when we have a little bit of variation. And this you can play with it. Like I'm using the long part of the knife, I'm using the tip of the knife, I'm varying up how I'm using it. Because again, it's just about just kind of very gently placing a little bit of white along here to catch your eye. And then now what I'll do, since we still have some white, I want to put a little bit of those like gaps of light showing through the tree, like we have up here, okay, up in the top of the canopy. So just a few, and I've got it fairly loaded with white paint because it's nice and juicy and we don't want to mix it at this point. I want it to be fairly pure white at this point. So I'm just placing a few, and it seems, I know when I first painted this, it seemed a little like, ooh, that seems odd, but this is one of those things that really, it does help it all mesh together. Okay, well, I'll put another one here. And again, now we're going to use we're going to clean our knife and do one last part on the tree. So it's hard, it might be a little hard to see, but I think you'll see it when you do it in person. There's some evidence of branches in the tree, and you don't add any paint, you're just using the wet paint and you're just dragging it through to suggest that these branches are going upwards. So I don't know if you can see that, but all I'm doing is I'm just kind of in that wet paint doing a few knife strokes to suggest that the branches are there. And it's very loose. It's not, doesn't really look like a branch, but if you bear down firmly while you do it and then lift up, you can see on your own piece that it kind of helps bring it into more of a tree world where the branches don't just stop here. They have a little more life. They go up the canopy. And so that's all that's about. Not a very complicated thing, but an important thing, I think. Just put it there. And then last step, we'll come back over here. Thank you guys thank y'all for being so patient because I know we're going over, but I think it'll be worth it. We're going to add the last little bits of leaves to the water. So I have some orange out. I will do just a few little dabs of the orange leaves. I think I just like the orange. It's a middle value color compared to the rest, and it works nicely with the reflection. So I did a lot of the orange in the water. If you want to do more red, you can pick whatever color you like. But I'm just using the very tippy tip of the knife and just very gently putting a few imagined leaves. And then I'll just wipe off my knife here and I'll go to my Cad Yellow Deep, and I might do just a couple next to the yellow, just to give one more leaf color in the water. And you can cluster them however you like. And if you feel like you don't have the right shape, just go over it. And I think that's about good. I could keep playing with it, but as we know, we're over. So I want to go ahead and stop there. And I would absolutely love to see what any of you might have done. Jeannie, I don't know if we have time. I'd love to see it.
We'll ask Felicia if she could switch around the view and then we could share with everyone. Gallery. Oh, lovely. Look at the different colors. All right.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh,
yes, share with us. That. Okay, yeah, some of them. Oh my goodness.
Great. Nice.
Oh, lovely. Oh my goodness. Some of them are the colors are beautiful.
That is amazing. I would love to see these posted. They're really fantastic. Yeah, everyone.
Awesome. They look amazing. So Marla, if you don't mind, if you want to just show the artwork that we're going to do next, and then hopefully, oh, this looks great. Thank you everyone for sharing and participating. And Marla's going to give you a sneak peek. So if you want to come back, we're going to do some mid-century modern artwork and an abstract mountainscape with our new Basics Fluid, exclusive and new at Michael's. So check it out. It's on the website now. It's in the stores. So you could just check out a new, it's been a while since we, we had something brand new like this. So we're really excited. And Michael's is going to
really fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun to work with. Yeah. And if it matters, my 10-year-old daughter thought this, she took my 2 samples. So she really loved this. So apparently it's good for gifting too. So.
There you go. All right. Well, once again, thank you so much, Marla. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a wonderful day. Stay well. Marla, let's let you sign off.
Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your time, and I love painting with you, and I look forward to seeing you again. Take care.